All right. Shalom and welcome, everybody. Shalom and welcome to Yishai Fleischer and Malkah Fleischer in our lovely in-home studio here. And we're just about to start a show talking about some of the hot issues of the day. And boy, is it hot out there, Malkah. It is quite hot out there. So we're going to deal with that in just a few minutes. But before we start the show, this is like the warm-up. This is the pre-show. This is the pre-party. This is for the folks who kind of show up and are ready, because we need to hear from everybody. We need everybody to get on board, including letting us know how things sound and look, especially sound and look, both of those. And just let us know how it's all doing, and then we're going to start the show in just another 40 seconds. Malkah, what are you, silent or something? Are you, no, Malkah, this is so not like you. This is so not like you.
Oh, don't worry. You'll hear me for the rest of the show.
Oh, good. Baruch Hashem.
You'll just sit there quietly, and I'll do all the talking.
All right, that's good. That's what people want, actually. And I see people are starting to join us, including Olivera, who says, good morning, and good morning to you, madame. Says... Abale, he says, sound and virtual background work great. Looks to sound great, says Ezra Gilbert. And Shlomo Algera says he can't wait for Malkah's debate with Ariel Gold.
Yes, that's coming up next week.
That's coming right up. Okay, so let's get to it right now. And that's about it. Let's get to it. So
yes, shalom.
Shalom and welcome, everybody. And let's do that again. Let's take two. Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Yishai Fleischer Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom and welcome to our in-home studio, and I'm joined by my beloved Malkah Fleischer. Malkah, shalom and welcome.
Thank you so much, Yishai. It's fun to do yet another live broadcast, which is also going to be recorded and played in the Yishai Fleischer Israel podcast.
That's right.
Which you'll be able to get up on all your regular,
all the stuff.
audio places that you go for your podcasts.
And by the way, that's interesting to me. What is your number one place for podcasts? Is it Apple, iTunes, or is it
Amazon Music?
No, they have the two ones that sound the same. They both start with like an S.
SoundCloud.
No, nobody uses SoundCloud anymore. The podcast, the stripper, strinking, whatever it is. People are using today all kinds of podcast players. It just escaped my mind right now. But in any case, Malkah, I guess that escaped my mind because there's so much going on.
Wait, hang on. We need to see this comment. You guys look and sound great. Well, at least Malkah does. Thank you very much.
That's right. Shlomo says, my friend Shlomo says, reminds me Spotify. And there's another one, Shlomo. Spotify, and there's another one. In any case, it's good to have everybody on board. It's good to hear from Erica from Sweden and Josh Margo from Yerushalayim. So many good folks. Let's get to it. We all know that there's some very intense issues right now. And I guess the world's eyes are fixated on Washington, D.C., on the one hand, the capital of the United States. But on the other hand, if you accept that there's this thing called a global power, which is today the United States of America, then in some ways, Washington, D.C. is the capital of the world. And indeed, it's under a great tension as folks tried to storm, actually tried and succeeded in storming Congress. And you see condemnations really from wall-to-wall condemnations of what happened. There are people who are dead. There's one person confirmed dead at this time and 3 more potentially.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was real violence.
What a day. We were like headed toward our jammies last night.
Yeah.
And then we basically stayed up for like another 3 hours following this story of allegedly pro-Trump, anti-Biden supporters who believe that the election in the United States was stolen from President Trump, who ostensibly came and stormed the Capitol building. And we watched this story unfold like this, right, with our jaws on the floor. Never before, of course, have we seen anything like this. You also have never seen anything like that. And it was just such a shock. And, Yishai and I were very active on social media, particularly on Twitter, as we've mentioned here before. And so watching like the commentary pour in on this event and on Trump and also on Israel and on what it meant to be a Trump supporter and what kind of people you must be if you ever said anything that was pro-Trump or supported Trump in any capacity. So it's like a battlefield out there again on social media. on the Trump issue. And I mean, it couldn't not be, right? It had to be like a hot issue today. And you see these videos coming in of what was going on. People sitting in Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of the United States, sitting in her office, sitting in her chair, somebody with an envelope from her office that had her name on it. Somebody trying to walk off with a podium. That's the one where I started to be like, how can this be real? Like, where are all the security people? People are just walking around with like seriously important items from Congress. I don't know. It was hard to digest.
Yeah, and Josh Wander writes there are 4 dead, and other people are saying that there's definitely a big carnage over there, and that's really horrific. This show here, our Yishai Fleischer show, broadcasting from Israel, it's not about America. This is not a show about America. This is a show about Israel. I'll make one comment on this whole thing, which is as a person who is coming from an Israel-centered point of view and is concerned about how American issues impact Israel, and that's where I'm coming from. The one thing I want to say is like this. Clearly, these kind of riots are abhorrent, and it's not tricky to condemn such a thing. Although at the same time, I don't know all the facts, and I'm not going to be the first person who knows all the facts. What I do know, though, is that the last 4 years of the Trump administration have been amazing for Israel from my perspective. And these include many, many issues that have been dealt with in the last 4 years. And as I've said before, we used to live with a lot of lies. The lies of the United Nations being a legitimate organization, the lies of America being pro-Palestinian and giving money to what in the end would be terror against Jews, murder of Jews, the non-recognition of Jerusalem, the continued abuse of Jonathan Pollard, and many other things. And to me, the last 4 years have been an amazing clearing of a lot of those lies and a fresh air that has entered into the reality of the Middle East. Not to mention the Abraham Accords and the pushing back against Iran. Many issues have been addressed. And what I refuse to do is I refuse to, on the one hand, condemn the riots in Washington, D.C., and in the same breath also, therefore, condemn the last 4 years and the achievements of the Trump administration.
You can condemn the riots.
I can. It's easy. I'm saying
yes.
It's easy for me to condemn the riots, although I don't feel like I know all the facts, right. and there'll be people
we don't know who was there. We're going to be finding out over the course of days and weeks. I'm sure what was going on there.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to spin conspiracy theories here. I simply don't know, and as a trained lawyer, I don't like to talk about things that I just don't know the facts of. That's just simply putting it in a simple way. But I am, and I have been pushed into a corner of friends of mine and other people trying to force you to also say, and therefore the last 4 years have been total junk. I am not going to do that. Right. I am not going to do that, and I'm not going to throw out the whole thing. It's just not going to be the way. In fact, what I'm going to do personally, and maybe you will as well, is I'm going to take the last 4 years and do what many have done to the Reagan administration, or the Thatcher administration. Remember the achievements and strike towards that direction, hit towards that direction in the future as well. So I'm not going to allow these last moments of the Trump administration to erase the last 4 years of achievements.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I've been really mulling this over because since we were on Twitter for so long last night and also this morning, you really see how people are... there are a lot of people who say things like, well, we've been trying to tell you for years and years that his Israel policy was only about himself and that it had nothing to do with you. And he's even the reason that Israel didn't apply sovereignty in Judean Samaria, and he just spins everything around himself. You get stuck in like a little bit of a tricky place, right? Because as a pro-Israel person, to just, like you were saying, Yishai, to just chuck in the garbage, like very real accomplishments. It wasn't fake. Whatever the impetus was, these were not fake achievements. One of the things we wanted to mention today on the show is that Sudan finally signed the Abraham Accords.
Now, it's so sad because Sudan signing the Abraham Accords is so meaningful, Malkah.
Right.
And one of the reasons it's so meaningful is that in the 70s, it was Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, where the Arab League met and they signed the famous 3 no's: no normalization, no negotiation, no peace with Israel.
Right. So the symbolism is like astounding. And instead of the whole news being full of that, and instead of it being like, it's been said before, but instead of it being said like Donald Trump really deserves that Nobel Peace Prize, instead it's a day where everyone's talking about lunatics who entered the Congress, right? And that is legitimate. That did happen. But the real, for us here in the Middle East, this is like so earth-shattering, life-changing, these differences.
Changes.
These changes that it's just like, wow, and like we have to focus on them. But Yishai, what I was going to say is that like, the accomplishments are so real, and yet, I watched this video yesterday that Trump made to like send everybody home. He's like, go, everybody go home. You can't be rioting in the Congress, basically. But he also used the opportunity to talk about how the election was rigged and how they won by a landslide and how it was stolen and that it's rightful that Americans would never accept such a thing. And that's a little bit of a separate issue, but some people made it some people after viewing the video said even here, President Trump wouldn't just take the opportunity to make peace and to calm things down. He used it as a political platform. And after all of these things, I got to thinking and I was like, well, who can we compare this man to? Because on the one hand, it is unfair to chuck all these like profound accomplishments in the garbage. On the other hand, you can't ignore that this is like an American leader unlike has ever been, right? Like he's the black swan. I don't know. He's like a different dude, and some people's distrust of him, I could see it. Okay. Right. I just wanted to say that I came to the conclusion of who we should compare him to in history that might give people a little perspective and allow them to see him for who they believe him to be, which is a guy who's like maybe a narcissist, right? And to also accept the fact that he has accomplished these brilliant things and is a person who will go down in history for accomplishing these great things. And that is King Herod. King Herod was also a dude who was, if you just Google him, okay? King Herod was a guy who killed people, many people, including his own wife, who he then regretted it and saved her body in a vat of honey so that he could go and speak to her and like be with her still, kind of. And at the same time, any of you who've been to the Western Wall in Jerusalem have visited King Herod's fantastic structure. Any of you who've been to Ma'at Machpelah, who've been to the tomb of the ancestors in Hebron, has also marveled at his incredible timeless work, which has stood for generations and will stand for generations through its brilliant architecture. And everyone knows about his incredible commitment to building up the land of Israel and creating glory in the land of Israel again. And yet nobody is incapable of recognizing his insanity, basically. Not that necessarily I'm making a one-for-one comparison, right? Because history will tell, and I don't know the man himself, but if one wanted to find a place free of cognitive dissonance on Donald Trump, you could possibly find it there.
All right. I think that's a very interesting take. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that there's been much more of a concerted effort to besmirch Donald Trump's name and to make him into that image. I think that he actually is a known quantity. You know who he was very well. He actually continues to behave as he always did. Would I tweet as much as him? No. But at the same time, I think that he communicated with the people and really wanted to put America first. And I can speak, and those things I can't speak of with expertise because I don't think that's my expertise. I think that I could talk from Israel point of view. And to me, anybody who's good to Israel is good for the world. And maybe that's a narcissistic point of view. But I think whoever's good to Israel is good for the world. Let's
go back into some of the comments.
Let's take a look at some of the comments. Says Miri, Hold on one second. I'm having a little technical difficulty. Yeah, there she goes.
There she is.
She goes,
Okay.
why can't everybody agree that Trump is nuts, but awesome for Israel? That's what Malkah said. And I'll say wild as opposed to nuts.
Right. I really don't. He's hard to wrap your head around. That's for sure.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think he's nuts. I think he might be wilder than you might expect. Farah Sajid says, Shalom Aleichem from Pakistan.
Shalom. And
Shalom, brother.
I'm so curious. I wonder if Farah could comment here. I wonder if he or she has any opinion on this. But I wonder if, we're hearing now from Pakistan, and this is not the first time we've had a listener from a place which typically is not friendly toward Israel. And I'm wondering what the atmosphere has been in the last 4 years. Has it opened up as a result of the Trump administration?
Very good. Josh Margo, our good friend, says, is this going to backfire on Bibi in the upcoming election since he has campaign posters coming out that have Trump in the election campaign posters?
Right. I wonder if those posters will come down.
Yeah, good question. It really depends on your perception. I mean, if you watch Israeli news, the way that they, they are along with the regular media, the Israeli media tries to, make Donald Trump look nuts and stuff like that. And again, I think we lose the greatness of what has happened. If anybody else would have had peace between Israel and Sudan, oh my God.
Right, they would have been carried out on a...
I'm going to make an effort today, though, Malkah, to reach out to Sudan on Twitter and say,
yes,
this is a big deal.
It is a very big deal, and we're very looking forward to warming relations.
Right, hold on one second. You skipped one that I think is fair. Our good friend Josh Wonder says, how can anybody know the facts when the mainstream and social media monopoly has completely shut down free speech? And
that is true. Twitter, what's it called? Suspended Trump's account for 24 hours, I think. And I think Facebook also did something like that.
It's like who's higher, the president of the United States or this organization? And, well,
they're trying, like Facebook and Twitter are trying to be equal, at least, right?
Naama Rue says, it took an insane, shameless, unhinged leader to make a crack in the system, which is why we saw so many changes. I think that's a very good point. I think that's a very good point. You
couldn't have a regular dude. Everyone's been, operating under the regular rules of engagement, which has led to the same boring conclusions over and over again. And he just didn't see things the way that other people saw them.
All right. And our good friend Thomas says, God bless from South Carolina. And then Ezra says, if we can't trust in free elections and due process in America, how can we ensure it in Israel? And indeed, the question of, did you ever see the Lego movie?
Did we ever see the Lego movie?
You ever see the Lego movie where he's like, what's the company name? President Business.
President Business.
Yeah, President Business and his company makes, they write all the history books and they make...
vending machines, all voting machines.
Voting machines. And so, when everything is dependent on a voting machine and on things that are ethereal and not exactly something that if it has a chip in it, or it has...
That's not all, though, Yishai. I'm just sure that election fraud could happen in a paper ballot way also.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes I think to myself, sometimes I look at our generation and I'm like, wow, everything has become so cynical and negative and dark. On the other hand, sometimes I think to myself, maybe we just know more now than we knew before. Maybe it was all the same. Maybe... elections were being rigged and ballots were being stuffed and coups were, silent coups were occurring that we didn't know about. And we just didn't know about it. So then you're protected from that kind of negative energy. But now we just know everything about everything.
Here's exactly an example of what I was talking about. So Abala asks, he writes on Twitter, he writes, Trump is leaving in disgrace. Can tying him closely to Israel hurt in the long term? See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's where we're put in now.
They want to loosen those bonds and be like, you don't want to have anything to do with this guy. His whole legacy is just dirt.
And therefore anything he did during his legacy is evil. If he's evil, everything he did is evil.
How do you say in English... Pagum or nagua.
It's
tainted.
It's defective.
Right, and I'm like, no, come on.
Right, and that's you're right, Abale.
Yeah,
you're right that this is going to be a narrative which we're going to have to fight. It definitely feels, a lot of people on the left. sound like they won the lottery this morning, honestly. It's sort of like this scenario played right into like the narrative that they wanted to give, and they will push it as far as they can. The anti-Israel crowd, faux show, is going to use this story as some way of showing, well, this guy is like a not trustworthy guy. He is a loose cannon. He stands for everything bad, for the breakdown of democracy, whatever it is they're going to say. And so therefore, of course, like everything that he did is tied up in that.
Right.
So Israel is tied up in that too. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to face that, and we're gonna have to fight that. Take comfort in knowing that there's always a special anti-Israel narrative. This will just be the new one.
So I wrote this on Twitter, and you could see it if you follow me. I wrote, I condemn the Washington, D.C. riots, but I will not be cowed and intellectually bullied into condemning the whole Donald Trump presidency and the legacy of amazing pro-Israel and pro-Middle East achievements.
Right.
Okay, Malkah, I think we covered this enough.
Yes.
But there is one more. There is one more topic, and our good friend Liad
is touching it.
Is touching it right now. And he says, when will American Jews wake up? It's painful to see. And I think that what Liad is referring to, and I think it's something that Carolyn Glick has now written about as well, which is there is also now a rift that's happening.
It's like it's almost completely, the limb is almost completely torn off.
Severed. Okay.
It didn't just start right now.
Yeah. But the way to look at how you see the achievements of this American president or this administration, and how you see things like Jonathan Pollard really are now causing a certain divide between the Jewish people in Israel and Jewish people in America. And it's even caused a certain rift within our own family, where one part of our family is just vehemently against this president.
Well, I have to give credit to my family because in my family, on my side of the family, there is like a major dissonance in political opinions between one part of the family and another part of the family. And they're all hotheads. Okay, so God bless them. They're awesome people. But even with the hot-headedness, they had the awareness to say, listen, we're not talking about this stuff. We don't talk politics. Some people think that's sad. In this case, it is smart, okay? We're not going to talk about politics, and we're going to stay a family.
It is smart, but it also shows the state of affairs, and that's within the family.
Well, but Yishai, that's a good case scenario today.
Right.
Because I was on Twitter, and one person said something like, there was I didn't see the Nazi flag, but somebody said that there was a Nazi flag brought into Congress.
I don't know about that,
yesterday.
but I saw a Confederate flag. I saw Israeli flags also.
Not in the Congress, but outside the Congress.
Yeah,
anyway,
I saw a Confederate flag, Israeli flag.
I saw a Confederate flag inside the Congress. Yeah. I didn't see the Nazi flag, but somebody said they saw the Nazi flag, and they're like, how can I feel safe in America? Right? So I wrote back to that person. I just commented on that tweet, and I said, come home with a little Israeli flag emoji, or as Yishai likes to call it, emoticon.
Emoticon. Okay? I still use that old word.
Yishai's not letting it go.
That's right.
So that's all I said. And I got like 70 likes on that. But then somebody else wrote like, there were other people who wrote like, not to apartheid Israel, not to like your country, like just all the like standard anti-Israel stuff. Like I could never go to a place which kills Palestinian babies and commits genocide. And those got like hundreds of likes.
Yeah, don't
those comments on my comment. Then another
Why do they forget the matzah? Don't forget the matzah, right?
Then another person said something like, a Jewish person was like, why are you spreading your Israel propaganda here? This is not like an Israel propaganda moment. So I said, well, if this person is a member of my family, it's reasonable to offer them my support and protection. Something like that. Like, that's what I'm here to do.
Nice.
And she said, how are they your family? I said, well, they're Jewish, right? If they're Jewish, they're my family. And she said, well, I'm Jewish, but if you support apartheid Israel and this like Nazi leader or whatever, then you're not my family, right? And that's like exactly what's happening. Right. Basically, there are people who are deciding, and incidentally, this isn't just happening to Jews. I mean, we've talked about this before on the show. This is happening in people's private homes, non-Jews as well, people who decide that based on their politics, they're not family anymore. And that's how divided politics have become. Thank God here in Israel, that kind of ethos, as far as I can tell, has not come, even though there is heated debate still about Prime Minister Netanyahu and the future elections, which are coming up.
And I think there's another thing. I want to say something honestly and openly. Let's be real here. And this goes back to my friend Liad's question, Rabbi Liad's question, which is, what's going on with American Jews? It looks like right now we're going to have one of the most anti-Semitic, anti-Israel Senates and Congresses ever. Together with a president who's basically going to be in line with the Obama-Biden is Biden-Harris. And so...
Right, it's all flipped on its head.
And is it a coincidence, my friends, that it's this week's Torah portion, Shmot, which says that there arose a new pharaoh.
I mamash woke up this morning thinking about this.
Malkah, if I can ask you to focus your sound into this mic, yes. It makes a big difference, Mike. You can hear it in the ears.
Okay.
But it's this week's Torah portion, Shemot, that says there arose a new pharaoh who did not remember Joseph. And it feels like that's exactly
so
it.
true, Yishai.
It just feels like that.
I woke up this morning thinking exactly that same thing.
All right. Listen,
I personally am looking forward, though, to Israeli elections. What I'm not looking forward to, because I think that it's time.
Hold on. Before we go on to let's take a little.
What, you want to do a wrap up?
No, let's air out this. We finished airing out the whole Trump thing in America. Let's take a deep breath and realize again, as I said, this is an Israel show. Okay, yes. and that is what at least we think the story is all about, and that's the story that we want to share.
I understand it's not about that for other people out there, but if you're listening to this show,
in this tiny
space,
little box,
it's about
in this little box, it's about
Israel. This is our safe space.
And what I want to, for those watching live right now, I want you to look in the background. That is a vineyard recently planted, not by me. What do you mean? What are you showing me?
No, I'm showing the vineyard.
Oh. There it is. A beautiful vineyard in Judea. This is in the community of Pnei Kedem. And this is our friend Gabriel Reese, who is out there like a rock star, like a baller out there, holding on to this place and holding on to this land through thick and thin and planting the land. And yesterday I was out there with the great Ari Abramowitz. I went to visit the farm, the Aragot farm, and I hung out with Jeremy Campbell and Ari Abramowitz. It is just one of the most stunning places in the world, and they're doing a great job out there. And we went on the Jeep to the nearby community of Pnei Kedem and saw what they're doing. So really amazing stuff, and it's so good to be in this land in this time. And yes, it's tumultuous out there.
There's a lot of landmines. For example, we have to deal with a new lockdown. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we have a lockdown coming up for the next minimally 2 weeks.
Right, our kids have already been home. I think it's how long has it been? Like 3 days or 4 days? I want to say like 4 years.
No, it's
been a few days. But we had one kid in what? Here's your word for the day.
But you didn't say why, because our kids their schools were shut down of what I like to call the British invasion. Okay, but nobody thinks that's funny. I put up a few posts on Twitter with pictures.
People are tired. They don't think the Beatles.
It's
joke
not. Yeah, but
funny.
it's like here's a new British invasion. It's the British mutation, or in Hebrew it's even worse.
So in our town we got the British mutation.
Hamutatia habritit. Oh wow, that's so bad. The British mutation. And yeah, we have it in town, and our kids' schools were shut down.
So one of our kids went into, and here's your word for the day, be dude.
Right.
Say it with me. Be dude.
It's easy to remember, just like be dude.
Yeah, be dude, which means aloneness, getting put by yourself.
Lonitude.
Yes, our 9-year-old had to go into his room by himself because one of his classmates and friends was found to be positive with coronavirus. And that's been a thing. He was initially pretty sad about it, but then I decided that I'm not going to let it be only sad. So I ran out to the store, one of the stores that's still open, and I bought little prizes for him. And every day I told him between 12:30 and 1 p.m. he gets a new prize, something fun. Yesterday was a big lollipop. The day before that was a punch balloon. You know those old school punch balloons? There's more gifts, but he might be listening outside the door, so I'm not going to say what they are. But all kinds of little prizes and toys and things, and that has cheered him up actually.
Of course, it's cheered him up.
That made him a little bit happier. We also sent him in there with my computer, so his mind melded with computerness.
Yes.
But he got his first here in Israel. In order to get out of bidud and out of isolation, then you have to take 2 coronavirus tests. And if they both come out negative, then you, instead of being in isolation for 14 days, you can be in isolation for only 10 days. So he had his first test, and it was negative, right?
Which is so positive. Right.
So that's really good news. But we have this lockdown that's starting on Thursday night, and we're trying to figure out how to kind of bide that time.
And do you realize that today, no matter what you're doing, no matter what issue you're tackling, it could go conspiracy. It's like Corona. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. The green passport. There's a lot of concerns about that. And some of them, they're not. The word conspiracy theories and what my friend Alex and I call the rabbit hole. Some of it is not so conspiratorial, because you just had this Time magazine cover story called "The Great Reset," and it's about the World Economic Forum and their
redefining capitalism.
Right, and their prognostication that this COVID virus will cause a great global economic downturn, which in turn will lead the way to a great economic reset, which is basically, if you want to break it down into one word, what they're talking about, it's a kind of global socialism, global control, global socialism.
Maybe that's what they're talking about. It's hard to understand what anyone means.
But that's what they're saying. They're just using fancy words around it. But I'm saying that's just in the COVID sphere. You could just go down a rabbit hole.
I'm tired of conspiracy theories, though.
Yeah, because the thing of the matter is that one of the things that the Trump era did do is that he and this era made you doubt, and they, I think themselves, the media themselves, made you doubt the veracity of what you're being told in the mainstream media. They themselves caused themselves to become
it felt a little too true.
Right. They started mitigating their own legitimacy, the media, and I saw it myself. Twitter has mitigated its legitimacy. I used to watch PBS NewsHour. I don't even touch that stuff anymore or listen to it anymore, because it's just like, it's just not, it's just, they're so opinionated.
Everyone's tainted, every forum is tainted with politics.
And that's why, my friends, I will now give you a homework assignment.
No one wants homework.
No, everybody wants homework because everybody's stuck at home. Here's my homework assignment for everybody.
Okay, we're ready.
Everybody's got to concentrate, if you can, on the characteristic of truth. Emet. We need a time of emet. We need to speak words of emet. And if you've read, what's his name, Jordan Peterson, he talks a lot about speaking truth. But I really feel that right now we need to really, really hone, all of us globally, a characteristic trait of emet. Speak only emet. Don't kiss up to people. Don't fake stuff.
We don't have to be mean, though.
Don't be mean. You could be straight up, and you don't have to be harsh.
Truth can be nice.
Right. You could say it in a nice way, but try right now to really focus on not speaking in ways that are tricky or hiding stuff. Just kind of let us bring into the consciousness of the world right now.
But can I push back on you for just 1 second? I just want to push back a teensy bit.
So you want to push back on truth?
That is your political spin on what I am saying. What I am saying...
That's right. That was not a truthful statement.
That was not a truth. And what I'm saying is that, on the one hand, of course we should speak truth. Incidentally, it is wrong to lie. Religious people should not lie, and non-religious people should not lie. It's not good manners. It's not good religion to lie, okay? On the other hand, I have to say... now we live on this world of social media where everyone kind of stays safe in their home while being able to say whatever it is they want. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who really think that they're speaking the truth. And their truth is like getting a cup of acid in the face. It's like it hurts, it's destructive. And I want to support your idea of speaking truth, of course. But when you dig in a little deeper, like, truth and all dealings with people, like, we need to get our manners back. Like, we need to get our gentility back. We need to get our, like, not being so blunt and so like raw with this whatever you call honesty.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So that's a great point, but I wasn't saying be brutally honest. I'm saying concentrate on truth, on being a truthful person. That's number one. And all of us have ways to be a little bit crooked and a little bit straight. I'm thinking about my own, whatever I did that seems a little bit crooked. So now, it's good to...
Are you a crook? You're not a crook. He's not a crook.
You're not a crook, but you can in small ways, the evil inclination could get you to be a little bit crooked. That's number one. Number two, what was I going to say? I had an important point to make here, but I was thinking too much about truth. But I agree with you. And here's the point number two. These two things that you're talking, these two characteristic traits, which really work well together.
Which characteristics? Truth
and let's call it gentility, honor, decency,
kindness,
manners,
really.
Kindness. That the great mixture, the great admixture of those two traits is Moses and Aaron. Moses, man of truth, man who does not sway from the truth. He gives it the way it is. Aaron knows how to present it more gently to the people, be more diplomatic, more genteel. I like that word, genteel. And I think that those two energies, when they come together, that's when there's great success, which is truth, but wrapped up in sweetness.
But as you see, though, those are partners, not
right.
unified in one single person.
That's right. As the great teacher Mary Poppins told us, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. The medicine is the truth.
Please.
Helps.
Yishai integrity.
Helps the medicine go down, okay? And so that's what we're doing here. You are listening to the Yishai Fleischer Show. We are live right now on Facebook, on Periscope, Twitter, and on YouTube. And you'll be also listening to this, if you'd like, on the Yishai Fleischer Show on the Land of Israel Network, and also on my stream, Yishai Fleischer Israel Podcast. Really easy to connect with us on all the major platforms. I forgot before, Stitcher and Spotify. That was the two S's that I was looking for. And Google Podcasts, Amazon, whatever it's called, Amazon Podcasts, Amazon Listens, whatever it is. And also on YouTube now. We're also putting up all our shows up on YouTube. There's great ways to connect. And we really love it when you do connect. We actually have a lot of great sponsors for the show. I want to talk about that for a second, Malkah, because our sponsors are not just sponsors. They're really people that we believe in, and they're doing great work. Let's start with Prohibition Pickle. Okay, Prohibition Pickle makes great pickles and great herring.
They brought us a new kind of pickle. It's called bread and butter pickled zucchini, which on the face of it might sound weird.
Right.
It's so good.
Right.
I just got a little salivation. Thinking about the bread and butter pickles. Those are really good. I like their sweet things that they make. I like the sweet pickles.
Okay, so there's delicious stuff at Prohibition Pickle. Check them out on
good
Instagram.
Hot sauce.
That's right. Lovely hot sauce.
I was just talking to the owner of Prohibition Pickle, and we really like Chaim. And we told you on the show recently about Dude Shemesh. We taught you this word, Dude Shemesh. He said that next time we have to upgrade to their next hot sauce, which is called Gehenna.
Gehenna sauce. Okay, Gehenna means hell, of course, and that's a Jewish name. But if you go to Prohibition Pickle on Instagram or Facebook, you can order stuff inside the Land of Israel. Sadly, he's not flying yet. Chaim's stuff is not flying. It's flying off the shelves, but it's not flying to other countries.
Yes.
But if you want to order for yourself or for a loved one or for a dear friend or for a favorite show host, wink, wink, okay? Then you could, of course, order Prohibition Pickle. That's one. Another good friend of ours is our friends Simcha and Rachel Gluck, who make the most delightful creams, moisturizing
organic,
creams.
Full of great herbs.
Malkah, speak a little closer.
Full of all the great, good organic ingredients that you want in your skin.
It's called Salves of Jerusalem. Okay, Salves of Jerusalem. And the Salves of Jerusalem, they will, as we say, our tagline for them is mind the myrrh, okay?
Mind the myrrh. And they do ship all over the world.
They do ship all over the world, and you will just get a little bit of that glow.
The smell of
soul
Jerusalem.
Glow, okay? Or we say the Mo glow, Moses glow, that you can get. Soul glow. Just let your soul glow, okay? And you will love it. So that's at salvesofjerusalem.com. Put in coupon code Yishai, bang, 10% off, and that's going to be amazing for you. What else, Malkah? Salves of Jerusalem, I said. Prohibition Pickle, I said. What? Which one?
You got Tchelet.
That's right, tchelet. Okay, here I am. I'm wearing my tchelet tzitzit right now.
There they are. You can see
okay,
them.
my true blue Jew. There's nothing like being a blue and white Jew wherever you are. And it's an amazing feeling to fulfill the commandment of having four-cornered garment with a tchelet string in it, which is made from a dead snail, okay? And the squished dead snail on the corners of my garment makes me feel awesome because I am like alive and biblical and doing it right. And that's TEKHELET, tchelet.com. You also get educated there about tchelet. Put in coupon code Yishai. Bang. What is it? 5% off over
Nice.
there at tchelet. You know,
It's not cheap, so 5% is nice.
that's right. 5% is meaningful. So that's tchelet, and definitely it's an amazing feeling if you haven't done it. And then Blessed by Israel. Blessed by
Yes.
Israel. You can be blessed by Israel if
B-U-Y.
B-U-Y. When you buy stuff from the land of Israel and it comes to your home, imagine that Amazon thing coming to your door. That pack, not Amazon. The package comes to the shipment comes to your door, and you're like, the light of Israel has come to me. If you go to Blessed by Israel, buy yourself, I don't know, what, like olive oil or other cool things that are there, and put in coupon code Yishai, bang, you get 12% off, which is amazing, of products shipping from Israel to wherever you are. And then finally, I am the international spokesman for the Jewish community of Hebron.
Well, not finally. Hang on. There's one more.
Oh, there is?
Yes. Boy, Yishai, your beard is feeling so soft and smooth. Smells good.
That's right. You're talking about...
Olive male.
Olive male.
I'm married to an olive male.
Oh my gosh, Malkah's in fine form today. Olive male is like alpha male, but it's olive, and that is awesome beard balm made by our good friend Eitan. And this beard balm will give you Hebrew masculinity, okay? And you will move from being...
You put that with the tzitzis? Foof.
Yeah, you're moving from being just a plain rabbi to a sage or a chacham, okay? It really depends. And it works for both Ashkenazi and Sephardi beards, or for Gentiles who love the land of Israel. When you will have that beard infused with the earth and the air,
the moisture of the land of Israel.
man, you'll be hopping in your giant pickup or whatever it is that you're driving out there. Okay, and if you put in coupon code Yishai, bang! I think it's actually coupon code Yishai 10. You get 10% off.
You're fat.
That's at Beard Balm. And I'm not just only I don't only promote it, I am also a
client.
A client, okay?
Okay, and of course, the Jewish community of Hebron.
Yes. Oh, yes. After you're wearing tchelet, and you have the beard balm, and you drink some wine from Blessed by Israel, and you've
Your skin
moisturized
is all smooth.
by bombs, salves of Jerusalem, then you can come visit us at the Jewish community of Hebron. And the Jewish community of Hebron is the place of the tomb of the forefathers and mothers. We keep the place strong for the rest of us. We keep it open for the rest of us. And the Hebron Fund is the wing that gets your support and makes Hebron stronger. If you want to be part of the brave Jewish community and keep it strong, keep it open for the rest of us, hebronfund.org. So it's really fun to represent all these great companies and organizations. They're doing great work. Please visit them. Put in the coupon code, and that's awesome. And also another way that you could be part of it all is just going to YishaiFleischer.com, hit the support button there. It's called Join Yishai and Strengthen Israel.
Right, and of course you can sign up for Yishai's weekly newsletter, where you get all the good stuff, all the highlights of what he's done during the week, and we have lots more coming your way.
Right, and there's always articles and videos and radio coming out, and my good friend Moshe gets it out to the world. So thank you to Moshe, to Ben Bresky, to Tabitha for getting the content out. And it's really, you see, it's a lot of effort. And thank you, Malkah, for joining me today.
Yes,
and I know it's a lot of effort to make it happen. So thank you, all of you out there. We're not quite done yet. There's just one or two other issues that I'd like to tackle. You have another issue you want to tackle? Because I have an issue.
Go.
Do you have another issue?
Maybe it'll inspire a new issue for me, and we'll just keep going and going and going.
Well, I put up a new article this week at JNS, which is called...
it's important. I can't believe it came all the way to the end of the show.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about it. And the article is called 7 Reasons for the Arab World's Post-Jihad Movement. 7 Reasons for the Arab World's Post-Jihad Movement. And I think it's a really fun article because this article lays out some of the reasons that are working on the psyche of our Middle East brothers and sisters. And I'll read out to you the list quickly, but I won't get into it. And check out the article yourself on JNS. And you could just look up my name. Number one, states running jihad as their platform for how to run a country.
What inspired you to write this article?
Well, what inspired me to write this article, Malkah, is that I am concerned with how the Arab world is thinking. And I'm looking at the Abraham Accords and wondering, I think actually you partially inspired it because you asked me...
That was not even a setup.
Right. You said to me, like, what is this all about? Like, what is the reason that all these Arab states are, like, turning towards Israel now and signing on the Abraham Accords? And I realized that the Abraham Accords are really part of a bigger phenomenon within the Arab world, which is a movement away from jihad. Let's call it from jihad to prosperity. That's what I would say. Let's call it from jihad to prosperity with love. And from jihad to prosperity is a movement that's happening right now. One of the main reasons is that jihadist states themselves are a disaster. Okay, they're not working well. And so the Arab world is like, this, and not only does it not work well, it doesn't work well with modernity. Because modernity doesn't let you go capture land and become stronger through being a hegemon and a land conqueror. Can't do that today. You can be stronger through industry, you can be stronger through partnerships, you can be stronger through education, but conquest, it's just not so cool right now. So they've kind of realized that it doesn't work anymore, so they've switched from jihadism to prosperity. That's one. Number two is that Israel, they've come to realize, is undefeatable. We've had a war with the Arabs for the last 100 years, and they've come to the realization that it's not working, and so that Israel isn't going anywhere. And so the bottom line is, if you can't beat them, join them. And Israel's not to be fought with, because that's not going to work again. And then not only that, it ends up hurting you. It ends up hurting the Arab countries for fighting with Israel, and that's a very important change in their mind, because if you're like pro-Israel, you're going away from jihadism. Oil, they used to have oil,
right?
Predominantly they control the oil. Today they do not predominantly control the oil anymore. There's American oil, which is actually the number one oil producer in the world, etc. And there's also something called peak oil, which is the realization that oil is a limited commodity, and therefore they got to find other ways to make money.
Moving on, different technology,
right? Which is again partnerships and prosperity. That's the way to move forward on that. And you can't pay for the jihad any longer. Big bad Iran, that the Iranian regime threatens the Arab Sunni regimes, and they realize that they need a united front, and they need somebody strong that can help them. It's not going to be America, it's going to be Israel. Israel is the local power player, and so they're turning to Israel. So it's both a realization that Iran is the real enemy, not this little Jewish state, and also we need this little Jewish state to fight against Iran. So that's number 4. Number 5, there's a new generation of leaders that is people like Mohammed bin Salman and Mohammed bin Zayed. These are thinking differently. They are done with the past, especially Mohammed bin Salman, who has allowed women to drive in Saudi Arabia. He's a radical. And also,
that was a joke.
That was a joke. And he's building an incredible new city called Neom on the Red Sea.
I like that name.
Yeah, Neom.
I want to go there.
Neom. I think that is...
And what's insane is that I might be able to.
That's right. Amen.
But don't you understand? It's so unbelievable. 10 years ago, you couldn't, that would be such a joke, the thought of going, you'd make a joke about going to Saudi Arabia.
Like Bin Laden comes from Saudi Arabia.
You could never dream. It was so far away, it wasn't a thought.
Right.
And now it's I think to myself, I wonder when Neom is going to be built, and I'm looking forward to going there.
Right. Neom is actually, it comes from the sound that the light phaser makes in Star Wars. Neom, Neom. And everybody knows that MBZ is a big Star Wars fan. No, it means new, and it's got a little bit of Greek in it.
It's really cool. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and it's costing $250 billion to build. It's something something unbelievable. Truthfully, they say, the rumors are, he's thinking of it as a new capital city. It's so biblical, building, and he built a new capital.
That's the thing. I feel like we're dealing with things that are a little bit, without being overly exaggerating, I feel like we're dealing with things on a little bit of a biblical proportion. It's that's why I compared, at the beginning of the show, that's why I compared Trump to Herod, because I don't think that the comparison is that far-reaching.
Right.
I think that the kind of peace that Israel is experiencing maybe peace. I know peace is a word that like makes a lot of people roll their eyes. Maybe diplomacy, you could call it. The kind of like opening of
regional realignment.
Yeah, that you could say that Israel is experiencing right now is like hasn't happened since Solomon.
Right.
Right? And so then you're just like, this is comparable. Like these are major. And we can't allow ourselves to let like the Netflix and the Twitter convince us that like everything is just regular and small.
Very good. Very good.
And I think that's incidentally what attracted a lot of people to President Trump is the idea that we don't have to keep going along the same normal lines, that we can break out and that we can make radical changes.
Good, Malkah. Very good points. Last 2 points on our list of 7 things that are causing post-jihadism. The second to last one is Trump, just like you mentioned right now. And the Trump thing was in the Middle East was, I'm not going to talk to you about politics. I'm going to talk to you about prosperity.
Money.
I'm a businessman. Let's make a deal. Let's find a way forward because this other stuff's not working. So what are you getting out of it? Let's sideline the thorny issues of religion and Palestine and all these things.
Right, and see how we can benefit.
Right, see how we could all benefit. And I think that was very, very amazing, very deep. And again, I'm not gonna throw it all away. I will not throw it all away. And finally, the last one is religion, the Islam. This one is the least developed one, but I am predicting the next few years you're going to see more and more fatwas, religious decisions, more and more statements, and you're seeing it already now that normalize Israel and delegitimize the jihad against Israel, including the Palestinian jihad against Israel. So if you're interested in that article, it's on JNS. Check it out under Yishai Fleischer, and it's a fun article. It's going to come out in Hebrew as well. Okay, Malkah, it's been a great show with you. Parshat Shemot coming up right now, Torah portion of Shemot. We're moving from the Boca Raton version of Egypt to the enslavement and the persecution version of Egypt, and that's and then we're going to move towards what the book is really all about, which is redemption.
Let my people go.
Yeah, when Moses was down in Egypt's land. Let my people
They worked so
go.
hard they could not stand.
Yeah, and they were persecuted, and then God remembered them and He heard them. And then what we're going to have is we're going to deal with the Exodus, and with the Exodus together, we're also going to deal with a new amazing thing that's going to come in this book, which is halacha. God is going to give us freedom through responsibility and through where's Mike Foyer when you need him? Through added layers of personal responsibility and connection.
And hacks, basically life hacks about how Hashem created the world and how to maximize this existence on the planet.
It's interesting you call it a life hack. That's interesting. There's a part of that for sure. But it's also service. It's also freedom through service of God, the creator of all things. So that's happening right now. And Daniel Bright writes Hebrew.
I think that has to do with Brexit.
Oh, Hebrew exit. He means Hebrew exit, which is the Jews leaving Egypt and coming back to the land of Israel. So yeah, so maybe I would call it Egypt exit, or maybe Hebrew exit, whatever. That's really good. So that's about it. Malkah Fleischer, I want to thank you for listeners to the podcast. Stay tuned because we'll have Rav Mike Foyer on the Torah portion coming up next with, I'm telling you this week, wonderful understandings and chidushim.
Wow, great.
So stay tuned for that. Again, I want to thank Tabitha Moshe and Ben Bresky. For those of you who are watching live right now, if you're interested in the Rav Mike Foyer discussion about the Torah portion of Shemot, please just go down a post to the last or a post or two down, which I had my discussion with Rav Mike. You'll really enjoy that. It's a pleasure to be with you here.
Thank you for listening.
It's a pleasure to be with you from the land of Israel to wherever you are. Lots of love. Thank you to all the folks who joined us, including my good friend and amazing tour guide and sofer, tour guide Rabbi Aaron Shafir. He is amazing. He does great job. And I wish I could tour with him right now somewhere in the land of Israel. And soon, Aaron, you'll be touring people when tourism comes back.
Yes, I'm in. Very soon.
And Jordan says, I subscribe to the email.
Yes, thank you.
You will enjoy it.
I hope so, yes.
It is really, we craft that email to make it nice. Bill Evans says, Shalom, and he's watching on YouTube. And our good friend Gordon says, brilliant. God bless you, Gordon. God bless you wherever you are. So that's it, friends. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, lots of blessings. And, of course, write us an email, Yishai at YishaiFleischer.com, Yishai at thelandofisrael.com, any email to me that you want me to pass on to Malkah, you got it. Send me things that matter to you. Send me hashtag, something to do with your personal exodus. With your personal exodus, because that's what we're beginning is our exodus. And Bezrat Hashem, we will see blessings and redemption for the land of Israel, for the people of Israel, for the God of Israel, and for lovers of Israel throughout the world. Shalom, shalom, and blessings from the land of blessings.
Shalom.
Malkah, thanks again.
Thanks again. Have a great week.
End.